For the love of God, if you've been watching the news, Netflix just agreed to spend tens of billions of dollars to buy Warner Brothers Studios and HBO. I literally did a video about this a couple weeks ago because of the fact that it was just absolutely astronomically crazy. And everyone thinks it's basically a Hollywood drama. And I think it's basically a giant neon sign for people, especially creators or content creators. So most creators chase views, studios chase ownership though. That's why they win. And that's why Netflix is literally going to kick everybody's butts, especially in the film industry. So in this video, I'm basically going to show you what the deal really means if you're trying to make money online with content. On top of that, and how to stop thinking like a random YouTuber and start thinking like a studio, okay? So quick context, what is Netflix actually doing? Okay, just to clarify the situation in very plain English, okay, I literally did a lot of research on this. So Netflix has agreed to acquire Warner Brothers, Discovery's film and TV studios and streaming assets. That's HBO, HBO Max, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a huge deal around literally $86.2 billion. That's what it be, billion dollars in equity and assumed debt. But it still needs regulatory approval and won't fully be closed until after Warner Brothers or WBD spins off its old cable networks because they're doing a separation because of all the debt that they had and this, that, and the third. So Netflix basically lined up $59 billion, and that's a billion with a B, in bridge loans, right? An additional $25 billion in bank financing, which was essentially revolving around credit and giant term loans that they have to pay off, right? Just to make the deal happen, because they obviously saw the value of literally getting into Warner Brothers being part of their business, right? So there was a rival bid by Paramount Skydance, which basically actually came in with a higher bid at 108 hostile bid, right? Literally billions of dollars, $108 billion. And WBD still picked Netflix because of the strategic fit and literally everything that they do. And it's more reliable financing, especially that they literally have the money already, even though Paramount didn't necessarily have all of the money. But that's basically what their bid was, $108 billion to be. So what does that tell creators more so than anything else, right? It basically tells them that companies are literally fighting over libraries and franchises like they're rare real estate people. It's literally, meanwhile, we're over here having to refresh our YouTube studio just to see if a short actually went to 1,000 views, which is crazy. So before we get into anything, I want to talk about what Netflix is really buying. It's essentially three buckets. First is attention, which is essentially from the built-in audiences based off of HBO, HBO Max, and Warner Brothers theatrical releases. Plus, it's a bigger footprint for their company to actually compete with YouTube. Netflix itself literally said that even after the deal, they'd have about 9% of the US viewing versus YouTube's 13%, right? Number two, they also have an IP library. So for example, what does that mean? Intellectual property, meaning like the shows, the franchises, et cetera, like the DC Universe, Harry Potter, classic HBO movies or series, Warner Brothers film catalog, and Warner Bros. Games. Okay, so it's not just shows, it's basically universes within the specific family or the specific branch of Warner Brothers, right? And the next thing is revenue engines, right? Like subscriptions, licensing, theatrical releases. Netflix is basically promising to keep putting big videos, or big movies, I should say, in theaters. And on top of that, catering to spin-offs and merch and games, if that makes sense. So to bridge this to the creators that are watching this, you're basically a tiny studio. You literally have to start thinking like, hey, I have to do this in such a way in which that it actually be profitable, not only for me, but on top of what I'm trying to develop. And the way that I can do that is by ownership, right? But if you only chase views and you never build anything for yourself or on your own, you're always going to be broke and replaceable. So here's the thing. Platforms versus library versus ownership, right? I want you to start thinking as platforms as rented land, meaning like your YouTube, your Instagram, your TikTok, your LinkedIn, whatever it is. All this stuff means amazing distribution, but it basically means zero ownership. So then what does that mean? your IP, your intellectual property, the videos that you make is what you actually control, the content that you actually control, right? So your video library, your frameworks, your stories, your opinions, your email lists, your offers, your courses, your services, any shows or series that you literally develop, your greens, beans, potatoes, and tomatoes. So most creators obsess over what they rent, literally being TikTok vanity metrics, Instagram vanity metrics, YouTube vanity metrics, and they ignore what they own, which is essentially their library list of content and essentially everything that they develop on these distribution channels being like YouTube, TikTok, and your Instagram. And that's why you're stuck, right? So views pay you once. IP, intellectual property, and systems pay you for years, right? Because the thing is that studios think in shows, right? Creators think in posts. And with a studio mindset, a studio mindset, you essentially develop flagship shows like your Game of Thrones, your Succession, your Power, your whatever it is. And you have seasons, you have spin-offs, you have sequels, you have prequels, and each show is an asset, which is something that you could develop later on into the future in order to actually get and reap rewards, I should say, instead of just posting a one-off thing, right? So you don't have to trust or just run a YouTube channel in order to make money online with your content. You basically run a mini studio with multiple shows. Like, for example, with making content for me, making content for other people to make content so that way they can make money online. I can make a content and money 101 series, or I can make a brand creator case studies series, or I can make a mindset and money in a broken economy series, right? A random reel is basically a lottery ticket, or a random YouTube video is a lottery ticket. A recurring show is basically IP, right? Studios build IP, and you should too. So, having that said, right, you are a studio now. If you're watching this, you have to consider yourself as a studio. So, if I owned a studio, right, its mission would be simple. I would basically be helping creators and business owners make money online with content without burning out. Super simple. So then, you have to ask yourselves the same question, or have your viewers ask the same question, whereas they would ask you, who are you? Or who do you serve? Or what do you stand for? And those essentially are the things that you would base all of your content off of, right? So once you understand that, you can build your flagship shows, right? So something literally actionable that you can do right now is essentially pick one core show or one core thing that directly ties to whatever it is that you want to create or literally express to your audience. For me, for example, is how to make money with content in 2026 from 0 clients, right? Or literally any other aspect that could be surrounded around the main topic of my channel, which is essentially helping people make content and them making money because of it. So you could essentially batch these episodes too, like once you make them, right? Once you make your flagship shows, you literally chop them into shorts, reels, and TikToks that you can literally do omnipresence for on a third-party software, like Metricool, for example. Shout out to Metricool. And turn the best clips into carousels, into emails, and lead magnets, and stuff that you can use on a consistent basis in order to literally commit to the omnipresence, right? Number 3, or I guess the third point in this aspect as far as being a studio, right, is essentially you own more of your uploads, right? So I want you to understand that ownership looks like having an email list, having a newsletter, having a simple offer where you can do packages, you could do audits, you could do strategy calls, you could do checklists, literally anything that can be done as a service or a digital product for somebody else that you literally distribute based off of your own distribution channel, being your YouTube, your TikTok, your Instagram, and still get a profit from because people are interested in buying them. And on top of that, your systems, like your Notions, like your Notion system templates, like anything that you would put on workflow sheets or SOPs or anything like that. And because you have all this stuff, right, you have to understand that views are rent. Your library lists and offers are essentially equity. So then you got to start treating it like so. Anyway, so the next thing is, how do studios monetize versus how you monetize? Like a big studio will literally monetize through subscriptions, licensing, like Netflix, HBO Max, and all these other guys, and basically licensing their intellectual property to other people. And then eventually having theatrical representations or releases, plus spin-offs, plus merch, plus live events, right? You, as a modern creator, would be like anything like deals or brand content or subscriptions that you can basically get people to subscribe to, whether it be on Patreon or school, develop a community, done for you services, done with you services, coaching, digital products, templates, brand deals once you have leverage, and maybe even your own membership, to be quite honest with you, that's not necessarily on Patreon or school. So Netflix is willing to borrow more so than $59 billion, at least to make this deal happen, especially to buy a bigger library and more revenue streams. So if they're that obsessed with IP, being intellectual property, and monetization channels, then maybe you should too. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked the video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe because I put videos out like this every single day and you don't want to miss them, specifically about content and turning that into an income for yourself online. Otherwise, if you have any interesting videos that you want me to cover, really put in the comments. I really appreciate it. Other than that, if you want to develop a social media marketing agency that can literally make 6 figures in less than 90 days, please click the first link in the description. We have a coaching program, course, and a literally awesome community that basically talks about this literally all the time. On top of that, if you love this video so much so, literally check around here. Literally, there's a video that's been recommended to you by YouTube so that you should continue watching, which I would really appreciate, especially for the watch time. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Peace.